All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you again for joining our Smart Firewall training here with the 123.net team. We'll go ahead and do some introductions to those who'll be presenting today. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Heather Jokman. I am a channel manager here at 123.net. I've been with the organization about 5 years and counting. Um, and along with me today presenting, I have Adam Baines. Adam Baines is our channel sales engineer. So you may have had the pleasure of being on a demo with him or having him involved in a customer meeting. He's an excellent resource for our team. So he'll be going over the Smart Firewall product with you today. And I also have alongside me my counterpart, Bob Adams, who is one of our senior channel managers who's been with the organization, geez, a very long time, longer than I. So I'm sure you're familiar with him. And he'll be going over some of the Smart Firewall pricing, as well as the spiffs that we have for this product, and the spiffs that are remaining for the rest of Q3. All right, marketing when you're ready. Yep, and those are our faces if you're not familiar with us. And our contact information is below in case you need to get a hold of Bob Adams, Adam Baines, or myself. All right, so before we dive into the Smart Firewall product, we do briefly want to talk about what's new with 123.net. We have a lot of exciting things happening. As you may know, our mission is building network to make Michigan communities and businesses the best connected on the planet. So we are always committed to building new network, especially in underserved communities and areas that don't have it. So a big part of what we've been doing this year is we've been working on applying for grants. It's something that has been new to our organization, but we found a lot of success in. So we were actually able to partner with PFN, which is Peninsula Fiber Network up in the Upper Peninsula. And we jointly applied for the NTIA grant, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And this was a grant that would be awarded for middle mile network. And we actually won that grant. So we will be building the first ever under Lake Michigan crossing. As you can see here on the map, there's a couple different crossings. You'll see one going up into the UP itself. That's a network that will be specific to PFN, Peninsula Fiber Network. But the lower networks that you see going over to Benton Harbor, through Benton Harbor into Chicago, and then also into Canada. It's like the Sarnia area. Those will be 123.net network. And this allows for diverse connectivity to Chicago data centers, and then into Canada. So we're very excited to have these crossings happening and build that new network through these underserved areas. The estimated project completion time for this is about 2025, maybe into 26, but it's definitely one of those long-term projects on our radar. So look out for more updates on our Under Lake Michigan fiber crossing. So another grant that we applied for and won is the Robin Grant. Allegan County is a huge part of this build. It is 1,100 miles of fiber county-wide, and it will connect over 10,000 residents in Allegan County. This project was kicked off due to the lack of internet connectivity options during COVID, when people were forced to work from home. Students were out of school and they needed to remotely use the internet and needed to go to a Starbucks or a library to do their homework and schoolwork. A lot of students didn't have the connectivity and they were considered underserved. An underserved community for internet is 30 megabits or less. So these students did not have 30 megabits symmetrical internet to work with. So we're working on getting those residents connected. This project was really cool because it was a joint venture. Allegan County put in about $15 million towards this project, and then 123.net matched that $15 million. The U.S. government, through ARPA funds, matched the combined $30 million, creating a project network total of $60 million in funding to build this network. So we're very excited about it. It did kick off in August, so we've already started construction and building, and it is set to be completed about same time frame 2025 as our Lake Michigan crossing. So lots of new network that we're building, and it's really exciting to be a part of serving some of these underserved communities and winning these grants. It's a big part of what we do here at 123net. So if you have any questions about these builds or just anything, feel free to reach out to myself, to Bob, to Adam. We're happy to take a deeper dive and walk you through some of the new network that we're building. And on that note, I will kick it over to Adam Baines to talk to us about our new Smart Firewall product.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Everybody's doing well. So with our Smart Firewall product, we've really been expanding our connectivity to a lot of smaller or medium businesses over the past, traditional sense. And we recognized the lack of firewall we typically offer in our handoff. So if you've ever sold a 123net internet circuit, traditionally we just hand off raw internet. So we're trying to stopgap that with this solution, and this is really targeted at those small or medium businesses. So this firewall is pfSense based. If you're familiar with that, it is a open source platinum for the majority of the big name brands use. It's not new by any sense. This has been around since 2004. It has great basic firewall and router functionality. It's simple, and the device will cover the basic needs for most router or firewall needs. It's a stateful filter based firewall, if you're familiar with that. Basically, it means it operates on layers 3 and 4 of the OSI model. And we offer joint management or co-management. So if you want your customer to be able to log into this, they can happily go in and make some changes themselves. Or if they don't want to touch anything, they can just call in, email in, or create a trouble ticket with the 123net Network Operations Center to make changes. This device is living in the 123net core network, so there is no physical hardware needed on site as well. So it is a virtual machine-based device. At a high level view, showing this overhead view. So traditionally the firewalls that most would offer, including the 123net managed firewall, which we will compare later, would live on site, right? So we would hand off the 123net CPE shown, and the customer or 123net managed firewall would go on site and then eventually go to the customer's LAN. So their computers and whatever else they have connected to that. And the bottom, we're showing an example of how the smart firewall is configured. The rest of the internet is coming in through the 123net core to connect to the rest of the world, and that smart firewall is living at the 123net core. So it is living at the 123net data centers in a virtual machine, and that connectivity is then being passed through the 123net CPE on the customer's premise. So there is no additional need for physical infrastructure to implement this. Some more notable features of this. So we would offer with this is a stateful packet inspection, network address translation, so we can translate private address to public for servers and that sort of thing that actually need a public IP, port forwarding, DNS and DHCP, so private handouts, which is something we never traditionally do with our standard offering, and a client VPN. So if someone's working from home and they want to connect to the internal network, they can absolutely do that. Optional ARP watch. So if you want to be alerted when there's devices being connected to the network, say, for example, someone connects to your network, you can get an alert, or we can log that to say, hey, there was a MAC address that was connected at noon today. Do you want to know about that? We can add that as well. IDS and IPS intrusion attempts. So basically, IDS is like monitoring, and it will give you alerts of when there's intrusion attempts. And IPS, we can set up rules to reject those packets based on the rule set. So if you say a rule, hey, we want to reject any traffic from this IP address, you can get that, and we can notify you through the through that IDS. Value add. So with this product, there is no licensing with it. So that means that you don't have to be stuck in a contract for 3 years, the license expires, and then you got to renew it with a new license. And same goes with the hardware. You're not limited by having to upgrading hardware. Say the customer has a 100 meg circuit today and they want to upgrade to a 500 meg. We don't have to change out any hardware. We don't have to change out any licensing. It is all scalable through our side, so it does not require any sort of additional purchasing by us or the customer for that skill. We can add it to co-location as well. It makes it very simple. Here, I'm going to pop up a quick demonstration of this. As you can see, there is a lot going on in here, but at a quick overview, it is a basic firewall, and it does a great job of giving you traffic stats, connectivity, logging, and customization. So if you want to add some network address translation, very easy. And obviously, the customer doesn't have to do any of this if they don't want to. Our Network Operations Center can do some hand-holding as long as we know what we need to do. We can add all this. So for example, VPN, we can show some client VPN. And we can absolutely create a server through this, along with every sort of detail that you could ever want in a firewall. The biggest thing to know here is that the customer doesn't have to actually use this, but if they have enough technological know-how, they can absolutely get a login into their particular firewall and set this up. In most cases, this is really targeted at the small, medium business where perhaps a customer doesn't have an IT team or a managed service provider. This is a real targeted audience for a single internet connection with 123net, and where they really need assistance and don't particularly need a full managed staff to be their IT team. As mentioned, our target audience is customers with or without IT staff or a managed service provider, or the existing firewall that cannot meet circuit bandwidth requirements. So we've had tons of calls in the past where customers I want to upgrade my internet connection, my service is slow, but my firewall that I have a subscription with, the licensing is going to be $1,500 for another 3-year subscription. On top of the firewall costs, which can be very, very expensive. And we have to have a solution for that. So this is really filling that void that we haven't really got into today. Along with expired licensing, that's another example. We've had calls where, my internet's not working. It turns out that the customer had a firewall with subscription that expired. And again, this is a great product for that we can get them spun up really quickly on a 123net connection, or locked out of a device that they have, similar scenario. So what's the difference between a smart firewall and our managed firewall offering? So if you're familiar with our managed firewall offering that we've had for a while, it's the Cisco Meraki. The biggest and most obvious thing is the on-site versus hosted. So a physical piece of device is actually going on-site with the managed firewall, while the smart firewall is hosted, right? So that device is living in the cloud. There's no actual implementation we have to put on site if they're an existing 123net customer or they're turning up with a 123net service. The user friendliness is definitely a case with the managed firewall. Meraki is a very polished and is a next gen firewall. And it really stands out is the layer 7 or application filtering. So for example, if you don't want your customers to be, or your client to be going on certain websites or applications, we can filter that with the managed firewall, while the smart firewall doesn't really touch that as much. Another thing the managed firewall does a little bit better is like a multi-location. So if you have site-to-site connectivity, the managed firewall shines really, really well with that for sending traffic to and from. And the managed firewall really has an offering with Wi-Fi. So we have some offerings with managed firewall that we can do a Wi-Fi offering, while the smart firewall, obviously living in the cloud, we don't have like an access point or something that you can connect to. I hope that gives you a good picture. I'm going to send over the next slide. to Bob. Nope, we can't hear you, Bob. You're muted.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Apparently, it's my first time using Teams, so thanks for bearing with me. I get to talk about the fun stuff. I get to talk about the pricing and the spiffs. So our smart firewall pricing, here's a couple examples of how it would be priced, and this is 36-month pricing. When I talk with a lot of my partners, they often hear me refer to it as like supersizing your meal at McDonald's. So just like going from a medium fry to that large fry, you're able to take that that circuit cost with 123net and bundle on the smart firewall, and now you're supersizing the revenue on that deal. So you know, we've got example 100 meg, 500, and 1 gig pricing shown here on the screen. So and we can dive more into it, you know, on a quote by quote basis. We would show it as a line item and include it right on the quote if you guys would like to see smart firewall pricing. So next slide, if you would. Now that we've seen the pricing, now let's talk about the good stuff, how we all get paid. So we're calling it our hot summer spiffs. So selling a smart firewall, we've got 2 different components. We've got it for an existing 123net customer. So if you've got existing 123net customers today and you want to, you know, add this sale onto that existing circuit, it would pay a 3x or a 4x of that MRC, just depending on whatever term you sign them up to. If this is a new logo customer, so you're out selling them a brand new 123net circuit, we are offering a 2x and 3x on the smart firewall pricing component. So again, pretty lucrative spiffs that can be added on top of our normal 123net network spiffs. Also, we want to put a plug in for our partner points program. Many of you have probably been following along in our monthly newsletter or some of our marketing blasts that are going to earn your points. So if you need more details on how you earn the points, certainly reach out to your channel manager. But the top 2 partners here will win. The grand prize is $1,000. You know, marketing dollars. So we would co-sponsor an event with you. So you would invite your customer base or your business associates. 123net would join, and we would pay for $1,000 towards the cost of that event. Second place, runner up, we would do a co-branded marketing campaign with you. So we would partner for 500 prospects, provide the co-branded material and all the information to run a co-branded marketing campaign together. So 2 pretty cool prizes, and all you really have to do is you know, sell what you've been selling all along. And we also award points for marketing. And again, we can go into more details. Just reach out to your channel manager if you have not seen it. It comes out at least once a month, possibly a couple times a month. The next question that you may be having, or that you may have, is what is a fast track? So a fast track zone here at 123net, you know, customers who are very close to our 123net network. Oftentimes we've got fiber directly in front of their building on the same side of the street. And a fast track zone, it's not available in downtown metropolitan areas. And make sure you check with your channel manager on the front end to see if you know, if they qualify for a fast track. But all fast tracks will pay a 3x spiff regardless of the term. It is available for new customers only, and ICB special pricing would not apply. So a fast track is a great way. The benefits to selling in a fast track zone would be less construction. Less construction means quicker installs. A typical install would be 90 days or less. If they're in a lit building, it would be much quicker than that, but a typical install in a fast track zone would be 90 days or less. Quicker installs typically mean faster payments. So you would earn that 3x spiff a lot faster because it's going to turn up quicker. So that is everything that I've got to touch on. Do we have any questions? Okay, it looks like we've got a question. Can you add Smart Firewall and have it terminate coterminous with existing customer? And the answer to that would be yes. You would be able to add that on and make it coterminous with their circuit. Any other questions?
If there's no other
All right.
questions, we're happy to do further demos in the future. If you get some interested parties, I can do a show and tell for a private session, more so than just a quick public one that we've done today. We're happy to schedule that with Bob, Heather, and myself if that is needed.
Right. I don't see any other questions coming in. If no one has anything, just would like to thank everyone for joining today. And hopefully this is going to fill the need of a lot of your customers. So again, reach out to Heather, myself, or Adam with any questions. And we look forward to winning some business with you. Thank you very much for joining.